Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani. Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for SAT. We have been solving SAT math problems out of this book here, the SAT Official Study Guide 2020. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. Today, we'll solve the last three problems that you will find on page number 882 and 883. Let's turn to it. Page 882, number 36. If at the end of the video you find this helpful and you decide that you would like to work with me, and if you wish to get hold of me, you can do so by sending me an email at keshwaniprep@icloud.com. Let's take a look at it here. Number 36, we are told that the mean of Maria is 0.1 greater than the mean of Andrew. We are using M to represent the mean of Maria and Andrew here. And these are the observations. Based on that fact that Maria's average is 0.1 greater than Andrew's average, question simply is what's the value of X. So here you find all the entries for Andrew. 24, 25, 36, 30, 31, 25 and 27. Let's begin, shall we? There are two ways of going about it. One way is actually the traditional way, the orthodox way, the classical way, which is the arithmetic way, which is simply add up the numbers and divide by 6. If you want to do that, be my guest. But I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Just observe the number. That's what I usually do. Just observe the number, get a feel for it. Obviously, it's not 25 because these two are the only 25, and then everything is more than that. I'm going to pretend that it's 26. Let's try 26 and see what happens. Okay, stay with me in the story and follow me. If the average is indeed 26, which we are assuming, we do not know that, we're just making an assumption. If the average is in fact 26, then this guy is 2 short. This guy is 1 short. This guy has surplus of 10. This guy has a surplus of 6. This guy has a deficit of 1. And this guy has a surplus of 1. Because we are assuming that the average is 26. Well, we have a positive 1 and a negative 1. They take care of each other. And then we got a negative 2 and negative 3. That's 3. If I take out these 3, this 6 will become 3. This 6 will become 3. That is, I made a mistake. That should have been a 5. 26, 31 minus 26 is a 5. It's a 5. And after we take away these 3, negative 2 and negative 1 from this 5, this becomes a 2. So what we observe here is that if we were to assume that the average is 26, it does not work out. It does not work out because we have a surplus of 12. We have a surplus of 12, and that has to be divided evenly among 6 people, which means that tells us the average is not 26, average is in fact 28. And at this point you can stop, average is 28. But just to convince you, just for your sake, just for your benefit, I'm going to actually do out the 28 and show you that 28 does indeed actually work. So if we were to assume 28, it will work out just fine. Okay, again, if it's 28, this has the average deficit of 4, this has a deficit of 3. If it's 28, this is 8 more than 28. 8 more than 28, that's 3 more. There's a deficit of 3, and there's a deficit of 1. And let's see what happens now. Immediately we see the positive and negative, they cancel out. And then we got a negative 4, a negative 3, that's negative 7. There you go. A negative 4, a negative 3, and a negative 1, that's negative 8. And a positive 8, they cancel out each other. There is nothing left. That means average is indeed 28. Now that we know the average is 28 for Maria, Andrew, we're dealing with Andrew, and Andrew's average is 28, which means Maria's average has to be 29. Maria's average has to be 29. So now we work on Maria. What can we do? I don't want to erase any of this thing. Let's do the Maria on the top. So we have X, a 31, a 27, a 29, a 33, and a 28. Watch what happens, okay? So now we know that the 28 works, which means Maria's average has to be 29. This guy has, in order for it to carry its own weight, it needs to be 29. And then we'll have to do some adjustment here. Either we'll have to take something away from it, if this thing does not add up to 0. So let's do 29. This has a surplus of 2, this one has a deficit of 2, this one cancelled out because it is 29. This one has a surplus of 4, and this one has a deficit of 1. Okay, let's see what happens. We have to go slowly. Here we go. Negative 2 and positive cancel out. There we go. We have a positive 4 and a negative 1. That's a positive 3. That's a positive 3. Which means in order for all of this to work out, we have to take 3 away from this guy. Because this negative 3 and this positive 3 will cancel out. That tells us that the Maria's this missing value here that we were looking for is 26. There you go. That's all there is. Let's do the next one, shall we? Number 37. Number 37. And if to avoid any chance of confusion, I'm going to erase this part so that you can have a clear view without the clutter. So what happened was, when we did the average of 29 for Maria, we found out that we had a surplus of 3 here, and that surplus has to be negated by taking away 3 from this guy. So it is not 29, it is in fact 26. That's all. Now, of course, you understand that none of this is, these are not whole numbers, so the correct answer actually is not 26, it is actually 2.6. So I just didn't want to waste my time dealing with decimal point throughout the whole exam, throughout the whole problem. And neither should you. Even if you're doing any calculator, why waste your time putting in point, decimal so many different times? Just do with the whole number. Just remember that you have to, at the end, you have to just move the decimal place one spot. Number 37. In 37, it says that we deposited X dollars in 2001. We opened an account and we deposited X dollars in 2001. We are told that it doubles each year. In other words, it has a 100% rate of return. We are told that at 2005, we have $480. The question simply is, how much did we deposit in the beginning in order for this to work out? So let's do it out, shall we? 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2005. And instead of dealing with X dollars, let's just do $1. So if we had $1 here, the next year it will become $2, 2 will become 4, 4 will become 8, and 8 will become 16. There you go. But we don't have $1. We started out with X dollars, so multiply this by X. So at the end we end up with 16X, which means 16X must equal the amount that we have at the end, which is 480. Divide both sides by 16. 48 has 3, 16 and 0 has no. That means we must have started out with $30. And 30 became 60, 60 became 120, 120 became 240, and 240 became eventually 480. Number 38. The last one. Last one says that we have parents make up 15% of the committee. We have teachers that make up 45% of the committee. We have administrators. There are 1/4 of the committee is made up of administrators. And finally, we are told that we have students on the committee. But pay attention, this is not 6%, this is the absolute number, 6 people, six individuals. The question simply is, what is the difference between the number of people that are teachers and administrators? What's the difference? This says between. So we have to figure out how many teachers there are, how many administrators there are, what's the difference. Let's start, shall we? There are 6 students in the committee. Let's leave that aside for the time being. Let's figure out first what percentage of the committee must be students. Let's first figure out what percentage of the committee must be student. Let's do a different color so we can differentiate between what was being told and what we are trying to figure out ourselves. So let's find out. 45 plus 15, that's 60, 70, 80, 85. That's 85%, which means student must make up 15%. 15% of the committee is made up of students. And we also know that that represents 6. Which means that 15% has to equal 6, obviously. If 15% equals 6, if we divide both sides by 3, that tells us that 5% must be equal to 2. That implies that 5% must equal to 2. But we know, from here, we know that the difference between teacher and administrator is 20%. They are 45%, these are 25%, it's 20%. We already know what 5% is. We want to know what 20% is, just multiply both sides by 4. There we go. There are 8 more teachers compared to administrators. That was the end of the exam. I'll see you tomorrow, where we'll start a new exam. In the meantime, if you wish to speak with me, send me an email, as I said before, at keshwaniprep@icloud.com. Alright? Bye now.